This is our second edition of the Locus Inspire series, and also a very special one because this one marks broadly the 6-year anniversary at Locus, right? Uh, with the growth of Locus, every year has been a new year in my job, and especially during COVID, every single thing that we had learned was thrown out of the window, right? One of the most remarkable things I noticed about you that, even though you have been a founder for more than a decade now, starting from Pesa back days, uh, you constantly took to Twitter and other social media channels in polling what to do with the team on, surveying questions, right? Would love to learn from you as to how did it end up shaping some of the day-to-day things you were doing at CRED or outside in general, right? Like it's incredible to see with the wealth of your experience, you constantly doing a learning feedback session. So would love to learn a little more about that approach and maybe go walk through some of the examples.
Sure. I'm curious to know, and what is the specific thing that you want to know? I didn't understand that.
Yeah, the specific thing being, like say what were some of the things you thought in your head were true, but based on the questions and the answers and the polls you ran on the Twitter around what your team needs or what you should be doing at this point, it turned out to be counterintuitive. Like what were some of the counterintuitive insights you got by asking questions?
Twitter polls rarely give you insights on how to lead a team. You learn insights on how to lead a team from people who have led a team before and done it well. Twitter is more of just being curious and sharing your learnings in open. In terms of leading, I think all of us are not seasoned leaders. We don't even understand what leading means. We've barely done. We are all younger compared to most seasoned leaders globally that are running businesses. The curse of tech businesses that most of their leaders are very, very young, and we have to accelerate our journey towards leading. And I think surprisingly, leading means exactly the same thing when you go across industry, across spheres of working, be it entertainment industry or be it technology industry, and that's largely because all humans are wired in the same way. We are ultimately leading humans, and therefore the core principles of leading remain the same. The process of sharing your learnings is a good way of constantly documenting your evolution. So the reason I tweet is I'm not tweeting motivational stuff or whatever. I'm constantly documenting my evolution in public domain. And yes, there is some benefit that others enjoy from that, and they constantly give me feedback through comments, or I get a lot of times direct messages, and that is very helpful because as a culture we've learned to not share our notes, right? And it's a terrible culture. It probably worked for us in our academics, but it's terrible for building businesses. The amount of knowledge sharing and help that I see Chinese founders do or Bay Area founders do, Indian founders are way too insecure to help and to openly share what they know. And I think that has to change for the system to compound faster. As a group, we are people who are still hiding our notes, mostly out of insecurity.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think you touch a very nuanced point that, and I would also personally put myself in that bucket, right? Like, often not sharing isn't coming out from the point of intent, but coming out from the point of insecurity. That as beta negative founders with a sample set of one, are we sharing or are we being arrogant? And that's definitely an interesting vote of confidence.
I think the culture in India has this curse of anybody who shares their insights automatically gets tagged as Gyani and Kya Gyan De Raha Hai type kind of taunts come to you.
Right.
And therefore, most people are scared of their classmates making fun of them. Oh, look at this Gyan guy now giving Gyan to us, right? But the point is, this is not academics. We are supposed to share our insecurities, our vulnerabilities, our discoveries, our insights, and that's when the system will evolve. And I think we have built a sort of a terrible culture where we naturally discourage people who seem to be sharing, which stops the growth of all the people around us. And I think that needs to change.
No, absolutely right. I was talking to Vidit at Mishu, and he was, mentioning about similar things as to how the culture around sharing needs to change, right? And I think that's an important learning for me personally as well. Uh, like talking about, like, as all of us not being seasoned leaders. I mean, while that's definitely true for me, I think you are being humble. You have like a experience of leading teams over several years. What would be a couple of things that you do today as well and were doing 10 years back as well, say one-on-ones, but you're doing them vastly different from how you were doing them 10 years back? And like, or like, what would be common mistakes, first time founders like me must be making with our teams, right? Like, what are some directions to definitely look at and double check on?
Um, I would say that the biggest mistake that, and I don't think I have become better at removing those mistakes. For example, spending time with our team one on one, going through stuff with them and discussing beyond work, what are they feeling, and what are they concerned about, and what are their anxieties, and if and solving problems for them. I think most leaders don't do that because they are busy, right? And also, what I've seen is leaders are not openly sharing their insecurities and their incompetencies, right? We have this natural need to appear smart and smarter than other people. There is no it becomes a lot of fake leadership. You can see इसको आता नहीं है लेकिन he tries to act all smart, and that's not needed. You can ask silliest questions that I don't know what this means, right? I don't know what that means, right? And I think the smartest people are really, really good at doing this. They just ask middle of the meeting, I don't understand what you mean by this, right? Most of us are ashamed of doing that because we feel dumb if we ever did that, right? I've rarely seen people use things like I don't know, I'm not sure, uh, openly. Uh, Other things are around leading versus managers, right? Earlier when we were talking, you used the word manager a lot, and I'm like, that word is problematic in my view, because managers and leaders are fundamentally different species in my view, and somehow they are clubbed as one, but they are not, right? Manager, think of people as some resources who have to be used and so juice nikalna hai, right? Leaders are personally responsible for the careers of these individuals, and they want to make sure
Nice.
that they are successful even when they are not in the company, right?
Right.
I'm constantly in touch with many people who were with me in free charge, and they don't even work with me anymore, but I'm constantly checking on them and, hey, how are they progressing in their career, and do I actually care about them, right? And I think most people think of using people, right? You can never be a leader if your fundamental mindset is to use people.
Right.
And we have not understood this word at all. We have not understood this concept at all because of, again, insecurity, right? uh, do I have to learn to lead? And therefore, sometimes I really wonder if leadership can be taught. I really wonder,
Yeah.
because it is what it is. It is what it is. And unless you go through your set of experiences, you will never really understand.
Yeah.
Uh, what else? I think other than that, what I do differently now is share a lot more openly about everything. There is nothing that the team not know in advance, and the culture of protecting trust. So when something is shared, we tell the team that you are responsible for holding the secrets and not kind of openly talking about it in social circles for your own content needs,
Yeah.
make gossip culture out of it. And therefore people become more mature when you share openly and you tell them that you're responsible for holding this trust, right? uh, Other than that, defining values, like when we launched it, like in the first 1 year itself we defined what our values are, and we are going to go through a lot of those changes, uh, and get better at it. But uh, knowing what your values are, and by the way, even if you have not documented those values, the values exist. uh, uh, they just exist in different forms and shapes. Uh, and for example, if you ask any company that are the best people promoted to lead, and is there a process to recognize them? And automatically, if you did a survey and you found out that most people said no, that's already a culture that we don't really promote based on merit. We promote based on some other factors.
Right.
Loyalty, kitna saal company mein nikala, is a big factor, right? So what I'm saying is that, uh, if you think about life, uh, I think principles of leading are exactly the same. The form factor changes, but we are all students. I don't think I nearly know uh, uh, a small percentage of what most people who have led well have done better in life.
No, thank you for sharing that. A bunch of very useful stuff. Like, I really like the point you mentioned about, a key way to articulate the difference between leading and managing is that leaders are practically responsible for the careers, right? And then within, and just taking a segue from there to an earlier point, which was about doing one-on-ones beyond work. Right? One of our angel investors, Manish from Pi Ventures, also have been emphasizing on the importance of this. And I think doing this formally at Locus is currently missing. We do a lot of this informally, we go out for drinks and things. But
That's fine.
what are
That's fine.
good
You don't
one-on-one?
need to do it formally. You need
Okay,
to not do it formally. They just need to feel that you are interested in them beyond what they do at work.
right, right.
And you have to be genuinely interested. You can't be faking it,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
every smart person can see, acha ye token small talk kar raha hai, they're not really interested in me.
correct.
You have to be genuinely interested in them.
And before we went live, we were discussing a bit of that special, and around forming that genuine interest, especially during remote onboarding in COVID, right? So in one case, if there is a lot of referrals and people already know before joining during during remote working, that's great. uh, but what are some tactical steps somebody can take to make sure people are connected, genuinely connected, right? Be it with beyond work, doesn't matter, but people are genuinely connected when it is difficult for folks to meet each other, right? And like, say two people who have for the first time met in the organization and for the last 1 year hasn't met, what are some tactical ways you have seen work?
Uh,
We've been experimenting with a bunch, we're going to continue experimenting, but yeah, that's well.
the answer is nothing really works.
Okay. Yeah.
Humans are social species, and
Yes.
they need to meet each other. There is an energy that is shared that you can never really get from these Zoom calls. Zoom calls are too stressful. So my suggestion is get them vaccinated and get them to meet. Even if you don't get to work full time in office, but you need to encourage a culture of more offsites, more high quality engagement on different topics. There is no solution. Anybody who gives a solution is just not realizing how humans operate. Humans need other humans' presence in person.
Yes.
Measure, think about long distance relationship. How to maintain a good long distance relationship? You don't. It eventually fizzles out.
Exactly.
You can
No,
power through it if you are bonded in person before. So, for example, if you notice that all the people who worked in person before, they were okay to kind of maintain the long distance relationship. People who walked into a long distance relationship, they don't even know who you are. They don't even know what company you are.
company you
They
are.
don't know what Nishith is all about.
Yeah, yeah. No, I can't, I couldn't agree more with it. We like at Locus also we believe, and especially a lot of us are also in enterprise sales. So both within the team and with our customers, right? Many of our customers are customers for 5 years. So just like the whole energy of meeting in person is very critical. We had a lot of pressure on giving up our Bangalore office, but yeah, we resisted that. And August, hopefully, most of the team should be double vaccinated. So we are looking to opening back presence in the office. Yeah, no, I agree. It's really hard to do anything online which can replicate pieces of that. Uh, often as a founder, I have found myself to have, while looking at people, have four key stakeholders: team, customers, investors, and media. Right? Geet, who's my co-founder, we both come from Amazon, which was about EMCQ, Earth's most customer-centric company. And both of us observed that given Amazon was such a large company, that the customers of each team was happiest if the team was happiest. So we went with a team and customers approach, team customers, and because we were B2B investors media, right? Do
Media.
you personally have a ladder like that, and what is that ladder? And
Why media? Why is media important?
the four, that's what, like, these were the four group sets of people. So that's why I said, given we were a B2B, we went with team, customers, investors, and media, right? Do you have like a set of like those stakeholders? Is there yeah, any internal ladder you have?
We don't have. I mean, this is the problem I have. Like, so many of these frameworks and vocabularies exist, and everybody just copies paste them. I
Yeah,
don't see any point. If you are doing genuinely a good job, and if you are true to what you are doing, right, you don't need to manage media. Media is not dumb. Media is really, really smart people out there, right?
correct.
And managing media, according to me, is the worst strategy, according to me, right? In the world that we live in right now, imagine you say something and your team member will say, "ये सब झूठ बोल रहा है,
Correct.
कुछ नहीं है," and that will reach more people. So the
Absolutely.
question is that why manage, do the thing and do the right thing in public, right? That's one. Investors is the same. They will get to know if you're doing good things because their existing investors will not stop talking about it.
Correct.
If your existing investors cannot stop talking about it, then they will automatically attract all the new investors because they're all connected to each other.
Right.
Same for employees, right? Like the whole management aspect. The thing is, are you really doing a good job? Are you really, really caring about people? Do they feel that they are progressing the most in your company? That's the answer.
Right.
I think managing stakeholders and all that stuff it's hugely problematic.
Okay. Maybe then the question is not really managing. It was around more like prioritizing, right? Like as a founder, you personally are typically always pressed for time. And what are the domains? Say, so as what I was saying was basically, gi- given team is the first place of attention. Beyond team, what are some of the areas you prioritize to run like a high growth business?
If the team is together and their intent is to do good job together and do good work together and be prosperous together,
Yeah,
they will figure out everything else.
exactly. I
Smart people,
completely agree.
smart people don't need too many things to be told.
Right.
If you have to really train how to get revenue, if you have to really train how to get growth, if you have to really, really do some of these things, you can unblock, you can help them see things better. That's fine. The point is that are you uh, like trying to create the image? And I think that's where I see a lot of this confusion, right? Like good companies don't really manage these things. They are just out there publicly talking about everything.
Correct. So, what do you think will be some of the changes? Like we discussed a bit about how people need to meet, and we talked a bit about the hybrid thing, sure. But what do you think about, like, having like a cross border, cross time zone, sync and async communications? Like, what are some great compounding habits that you have found? Yeah, about like, how do you think work is evolving in near future, right? Like, as
I
we
think
are standing on the brink between the two.
I think the cross
Right.
border thing is a real challenge, right?
Right.
And cross time zones and cross different cities and all of these things, right? Uh, they work when they are small teams, when you can genuinely be interested in other people. It doesn't work with large teams. I do believe that there is going to be a lot of erosion of trust that will naturally happen because they cannot understand your context all the time. When you see somebody busy in the office, you know they are struggling with something, and therefore that's why they're not responded to you. But if you are like on Slack, you're like, "Arey, 24 hours gone, no reply. Let me
Yeah.
ping again." And you don't know if they're really doing something more important in life or not. And I think async and all that stuff to kind of keep it documented and work on a project together. But I think it's very hard to do creative stuff and innovative stuff remotely. It's very, very hard. It's fundamentally very, very hard. And it's going to be a real challenge.
And do you think, like, during this time people further lose a connect with the purpose as to how they are helping their teams and how their team is helping their the org, and what can the organization do in making it right? Like, I fundamentally believe, like, it's always the org responsibility to make sure that the team's productive, right? So what are ways that you have found, like, effective in reiterating the purpose, or is it only at the point of joining? Like, I've always debated whether, can you only do that at the point of joining, or is it like, you know, is motivation like hygiene, that, if you need to take a bath every day, it should be
If
pushed through
if
every month.
it's truly if it is truly the purpose, you don't need to re-emphasize it. People will feel it all day long. Amazon leadership values, they don't do retraining and session. It's lived. It's lived in the
But
company.
like, Amazon leadership values, right? They actually do like an incredible amount of training, retraining,
I
messaging.
understand
Like,
that,
when you join
but
Amazon,
they also live that, right? What
yeah,
I'm trying to say is that training and teaching is to amplify, but the thing is that it's not fake though,
correct,
right? It is
absolutely,
there in their actual working as well, right? What I have seen is that people have a disconnect between their stated things and their actual behavior, right? Let's say you have 10 values and you actually ask the team that does it look like us or it's some other company's values? Like we have a value at CRED which is called keep promises, right?
okay,
And we are all terrible at it, including me. So I'm asking ourselves a question: that is this a, a real thing,
yeah,
or are we just faking it? Is it a desire, or is it a value? Should we give up this? And you have to be honest about it.
right.
Because it's very, very hard as a culture to say things and then not be do it yourself. As a leader, you are not doing it.
True. So on that note, as a leader, what is something on your, like, and as a slight tangent, what's something you've been doing in your daily or weekly life for 5-10 minutes that have been like compounding results for you?
I'm just a randomly curious guy. I'm all just curious about everything.
What have you been reading of late? Any reading sources recommendation?
No, I don't. I don't have any such thing. I just go randomly, whatever I discover, find interesting, and just get reading and reading or watching or watch an Instagram post or do something. It's completely random. But I would say that Most founder CEOs do not realize that their job is to not be busy.
Yeah.
Uh, and they think that their validation only comes by being extremely busy. Where is the time to think? Where is the time to process stuff? Where is the time to really get a good thing going? Uh, so I think the way to think about life is, uh, if you have time, you will learn. That's what people do.
Yeah. Yeah.
What if you don't have time?
Yeah. Yeah.
Then you have no time to learn. You are busy doing some random stuff.
Right. Right. Like one of the investors I deeply respect once mentioned to me, we live in this incredible times where we get paid to think. Don't miss out on that privilege.
Yeah. By the way, if you go back for years and years of history, people have been paid to think only. so, the thing is that it's not about that. It's about strategizing and giving clarity to the team constantly. If you can do that, a lot of good things will happen.
Yeah. So, is there like, and I again, like, I see your disregard on, just strict rules and frameworks around this, but do you personally have like some guardrails around, like, say the number of meetings you will do in a week, or how much time you will spend learning, or how much time you will spend with the team, and in a month, quarter, whatever? Do you have any form of those guardrails?
I don't.
Or is it
Maybe I
more-
should. I don't, but I should. Uh, but I have realized that I have done highest amount of progress for the company when I am more free.
Yeah.
And I think that's true for every founder CEO. When they are free, they think about thoda dur and they start doing some big changes. When they're too busy and they don't take breaks, they're stuck in the day-to-day. And they love doing this day-to-day because, and I'll tell you what another curse that founder CEOs naturally have. Everybody wants to take your time and say, "Arey, humne ye kiya. I want your inputs on that." And there is an attention need that is there, which is kind of causes that, but that doesn't give you time. Unfortunately, you don't have unlimited hours.
Yeah. And even more unfortunately, clearing emails gives you that short-term endorphin hit, right? Like that I've done something, but nothing has really changed in the world after they have reached your inbox.
Correct. So I think, and I have stopped checking emails. I realize it's a most useless thing to do. People who really want to reach out to me, they'll figure out other ways to reach out to me and get stuff done. Stop checking emails. It's just such a stupid thing. There is constant traffic coming. And my job is to not clear notifications in life, no? ये inbox zero क्या होता है? ये थोड़ा job है आपका.
Absolutely.
And this is the curse of vocabulary. When we create this vocabulary inbox zero, everybody is busy doing inbox zero.
I love this phrase, curse of vocabulary, and ironically, I'm going to add it to my vocabulary. But yeah.
You have to, because we learn things and we start living those things. Like, why? The question is why? Why should you do inbox zero? It seems like a fundamentally stupid thing to do.
Yeah. Because anybody is allowed to be in your inbox.
Yeah.
Fair.
Inbox zero is great if it's completely gated and you only got curated things to address.
Yeah. Both FreeCharge and CRED have been interestingly known for both great product interfaces as well as great distribution, right? I mean, the recent Rahul Dravid ad definitely found its buzz in the circles. That's pretty interesting. I mean, or is it interesting only to an uneducated observer? Like, does both product and distribution go hand in hand? Does any one of them come before the other? Does one dominate the focus? Would love like an overarching response to that.
There is no overarching thing. It depends on the type of business, right? But generally, when you have distribution, it's easy to cross-sell. uh, versus not having distribution in tech businesses. So the true superpower is distribution. For example, Apple recently announced or leaked the news that they're going to do buy now pay later. Now it's merely a feature that they are launching in the US because they already have distribution.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're saying like it's always very, very specific to the particular instance.
Correct. And I don't know if there is a standard answer to this.
Yeah. Yeah. And not just a standard answer, and like even in your experiences of the multiple times that you had to make this decision, every time it was like a new answer, right? Like based on the current context, or did you find a pattern there?
No, I think creating products that spread is always a massive advantage.
Right. Creating products.
When I use an iPhone, everybody
Yeah.
sees I have an iPhone, so it spreads naturally. If people use Locus, can other people see? And
Yeah,
if we figure it out.
but then that's exactly what I said, that ideally typically people always think that it's either product and distribution, right? Like you have been good at both, and that's why I wanted to specifically ask you that, does one dominate the other, and does one take typically more focus than the other? I mean, if it is always a great product, which it will never need distribution, or at least theoretically, right? But that really comes into fruition in real life. So, and that's why I wanted to actually do emphasize on the importance of distribution and ask about that to you. Beyond the first principles product stuff.
Yeah, I think providing value is the only first principle. There is no other value. Everything else is there, and how things spread can be solved by creating social proof in interesting ways. But providing value is everything.
Right. Fair. Fair. We're gonna take a quick break in this segment. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ask you a quick bunch of 5 questions, and then we're gonna go back onto a more discourse discussion. As we do that for all the 160 people who have taken time to join us, we also have like a fun poll going live, right?
Okay.
But with that, like just starting on the questions, Kunal, let me know what pops up in your head, right? And this is just for us to know what you like a little more personally, right? As you said, this is a one-on-one beyond the work, right? So in
Okay.
that spirit, what's the tech product outside of yours to come out of India that always strikes your attention?
Out of India,
Yeah,
from India,
from India.
um, nothing pops in my head, which is unfortunate. But I generally feel that I am attracted to originality when I see something original. I unfortunately have not seen it a lot, and I think therefore my uh, challenge has been largely that nothing has really got me excited seeing something original. Uh, but maybe that will change. Nothing. Answer is nothing, which is crazy.
Yeah. What are a couple of other products that really strike out for you that you use on a daily basis, or like close to daily
Like
basis?
for example, I recently got this Aura ring, and it's
Or
quite
a
interesting.
yeah.
The product is an interesting thing, and I find it uh, engaging, and I love tracking it. And people who love tracking numbers and metrics, it's an interesting thing for them to see this. Uh, so it's a good format by design, and that product has intrigued me. I'm trying to dabble and get more curious about other products, but as of now, uh, I mean, COVID has made it hard to discover things because you have to. I used to only meet people and ask them, "Acha, kya hai interesting," and all of that. So one hack I do is when I meet different people. especially in the Bay Area, I tell them to show me their phone on which apps are they using,
Yeah, yeah,
and it's an interesting way of discovering interesting products usually.
yeah. I've been doing that with all my cousins, all the younger cousins especially the tier two, tier three towns. Like they always have like the apps which I have no idea about. Uh, hey, how would you describe 2020 for you personally, not professionally?
Clarity. Crisis brings clarity,
Yeah.
and I think all of us got way more clarity than uh, any other year. So all of us are a lot more clear on what we want to do in life and what we don't want to do in life. And I think crisis has an amazing ability to make us really ask what is important.
Three folks you follow on social media to learn from.
I follow a lot of people. I I don't know how I get recommended these feeds. I follow biologists, I follow physicists, I follow uh, obviously tech founders, I follow celebrities, I follow meme pages. They are very important learning places. I have I, I I I think fundamentally I disagree on the concept of favorite as a concept. कि आपका तीन favorite क्या है, right? It feels like a prison, and all humans should resist us. Like your favorite founder, Kunal Shah, stupid. Never do that. Like it should be just one of the few hundred people that you follow and learn something from, and that's it.
Yeah.
No hero giri and no hero worship culture, because that's the fastest we're becoming dumb in life.
Yeah.
Fanaticism is prison.
Well said. Yeah. Fanaticism, jingoism, right. Uh, and last and final, outside of reading and learning, any non-work habit you have that you do to chill, relax, like
Just
any
travel,
favorite poison?
just travel and discover new things and new insights and new concepts and uh, new things. Just chase new things and ask questions and discover and nothing beyond that. Uh, and understand culture, understand nuances, understand why things are the way they are. Uh, like just ask yourself this question: why is this way? Why is that way? And interesting insights come because of that. But I would say that my favorite thing in life is to keep hunting for insights.
Any couple of recent ones that you would like to share with us? Like
Well,
any non-intuitive
I
insights?
share everything on public domain constantly.
Yeah. Anything that we
Nothing.
can get an early preview of?
Uh, I've been thinking about uh, what will create $100 billion company in India. And
Sure.
to me, the answer is very simple. It cannot be by serving Indian customers. Just the market does not have depth to create that. And you many companies will have to. Um, I was talking to Baiju's recently, and a good chunk of their revenue is now outside India, and it's quietly chipping away. And we keep thinking about all the stuff and discussing. We talk way too much than the amount of stuff we do in general. I've seen that, and this is true for me as well. Uh, 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 there are founders I admire who speak less and do way more.
And you think, yeah, in the B2B space, it's been a fairly straight up understanding that it's really hard to build, generate about 10 billion or even a billion in revenues from India, which would make it hard to even create like a 20 25 billion dollar company out. Uh, and you think like that's close to true even now during in the B2C domain, at least for the next 3 to 5 years. Like I don't like to talk about next, in actions. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just hard. It's just fundamentally
Yeah.
hard. Per capita income in the country has dropped in the last 2 years.
Right.
So how do we expect things will change?
Right. Right. Now, we do a lot of FMCG distribution. And we have seen while new pin codes getting enabled, definitely average basket values taking a dip over the last 1.5 years, right? And I'm sure, like, I don't know what primary numbers reflect that, but I'm sure some numbers will soon start reflecting that.
Yeah, it will change, but the thing is that like I said, uh, some things like, let's say, per capita income are like laws of physics.
Yeah,
You can't wish it away.
exactly. You can't wish it away. And neither can something like that change in under a decade in a drastic manner, right? Like you can't have an order of magnitude jump on that in a few years.
Correct.
Yeah, yeah. We have the close of results of the poll, and it's very interesting. Like, a year and a half back, like, pre COVID and all, in general, Locus never had a work from office policy, unlimited leaves, and all of that. And about 80% of our surveys were always about having work from home, right? Right now, only 19% responded with love, it's going great. And now it's 20. And broadly, everyone has gone to like some extent of visiting office back, right? At least for a few days in a week, right? So definitely in a different way. Uh, Going back slightly on the product and distribution piece, right? Now, the the distribution for cred and free charge were potentially to two. First, do you think is that two mutually exclusive audience? And second, if so, did something fundamentally change in achieving that, or is it still the same principles? Like, I mean, of course, execution would have changed, but yeah.
No, sorry, I didn't. I don't think I understood the question. Can you repeat that?
Okay. While building free charge and while building cred, uh, so first part question, are these two products built for a mutually exclusive audience, or do you think that the target group on one will move into the target group of the second? Right. So that's the first part of the question. Second part of the question, in case they were different, were the product building or distribution approaches change, or was it broadly the same? Given still broadly we're targeting same people, humans.
It's a different audience that we are focusing on. Free charge was for all of India, and credit is built for a specific group of people. Uh, and I think it's important to be solving for a cohort, right? I think people try to become a Swiss knife before they become a good knife, right? First become a good knife, become something to someone versus becoming everything to everyone, which doesn't work. So my view is that if you become something for someone, eventually you can become some more things for some other people. But becoming everything for everyone is the fastest way to die, because you can never create high quality products by building for everybody. So we are focused on a different customer cohort, because everybody seems to be going for all of India, and we thought we should focus on the smaller cohort of customers.
uh, does often just going against the grain, is that a good thing, or does it should be evaluated against? Like, often people tell to just do the opposite of what market does. I have found that to be a mixed piece of advice, so would love to double
Uh,
check.
I personally would not do something which is crowded, because I don't like crowded things. Some people love competing way too much. They hate it that they are a monopoly, or there is nobody competing with them, so they naturally gravitate towards competition. But the true joy in life is to not really compete. Uh, and as long as you can somehow graduate towards that, it's the best thing to do. You will never ever see uh, uh, value coming out of constantly competing, right? It's a zero sum game when you compete, right? Like, it's like trying to rank number one in your college. It's never going to happen. You'll keep competing for that, right? And therefore, to me, finding areas which are not explored before, or kind of thinking of blue ocean strategies are a better approaches, because nobody's thinking about them. Nobody cares about it. Nobody understands it. Like, for example, we love the fact that the world thinks that we cannot make revenue on what are we doing, and creating distribution, which is fine. right? I'm not here to solve the puzzle in people's mind right now, because as the company does well, and the revenue, and you see the products evolving, you understand अच्छा ये होता है, अच्छा ये होता है, right? And I think therefore the need for constantly addressing media is a problematic one, because you are doing your strategy. Why do you need to explain everything to everybody? You're a private company.
Yeah.
When you become public company, then keep talking about your stuff. By the way, even public companies will not talk about their strategies openly. They will give you projections. They will not tell you how will they achieve that.
Right. Now, uh, that makes a lot of sense. And as we wrap our session, I want to again go back from product to people, right? And maybe I want to publicly discuss what we were discussing, just before the start of the session, on the criticality of referrals, especially during the pandemic when people were joining remotely, and so we have a reasonable referral rate, and we just recently put up even better referral bonuses. But outside of the yeah, so would love your love for you to expand your views on that, as well as one, just build a great place. Beyond that, anything else you can further do to get people to attract their own. And adding the concepts of bar raisers, like what are some tactical tips to make sure that you still maintain a high quality while bringing in a connected tribe, right? And we'll
Well,
close with that.
it's when you. It's only likely to happen when you share wealth generously as a founder. Uh, Only when people have enough shares, they will start thinking that I need to hire best people for my shares to grow, versus worrying about referral bonuses. The fact that referral bonuses are more important is because they
Correct.
don't have enough ownership in the company, and they are optimizing for referral bonus versus improving the share value, right? They don't understand that share value will grow if they hire best people for the company, and even in their replacements for that matter, because their vested stocks will grow further if they constantly replace with better people in the company, right? Uh, uh, and I think that's where the shareholding mindset and employee mindset is decoupled. Most people don't understand that, right? And founders don't share their wealth generously. Companies are not designed for that in India yet, right? At CRED, we have nearly 11% in ESOP right now at $2.2 billion valuation right now, and I'm making it 15%. Most companies are shrinking their pools to 5%. So why
Yeah.
do you think good quality people will come to you?
Correct. Correct.
Salaries are not going to attract high quality talent anymore. All the smartest people understand what stocks do. And I think the question about referral, all of these things, is that uh, ownership. Do they feel ownership? And I'll tell you, there's another curse. When you bring too many people, ownership anyways dies. They're like, yeah, let them do this. Let this guy do this. Like, I'm too crowded, too problematic. Too many people trying to cook this.
Right.
And the only fastest way to kind of create ownership culture is that reduce the amount of people you need.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then naturally the ownership will grow, because there are not 5 people you're dealing with to say, अच्छा ये feature launch करना है अभी कैसे करें.
Correct. No, so we have a 12% pool, and we are just adding another 5% to this. We just closed our second official buyback. One final question on that. When we did our first official buyback, of the eligible people, only 25% people took any. This time also, when we did a full eligible buyback, only 40% people took any exit. I was both a mix of happy and confused. What should I be as an experience? Like, in your, like, I was happy because, it was great that, my teams, like, has the trust, and, even a majority of the people who were eligible were not, even though it was a completely cashless transaction. But at the same time, I was like, I was really, like, I think I was the happiest when I was making the buyback announcement, even more than the fundraising, because as a founder, that's when you have truly created wealth for the team and delivered on the promises you've been making for the years, right? So what's your view on people not taking eligible buybacks? Is that a good thing, or that should be encouraged, not encouraged, or let it be?
I think you legally you cannot do either of it, and you should not engage in this. It is their call to do what they want to do. But I think people staying invested is always a good thing. Uh, but
Yeah.
the question is that, do you treat them like shareholders,
Correct.
or do you
So
treat them like employees? For example, one principle we have at CRED, that I'm really in the process of recruiting shareholders and not recruiting employees. Do they feel like shareholders?
yeah,
For example, we do a full review of our P&L with the whole team, and discuss all the small things as if they are shareholders. So
right.
do you treat them like shareholders, or they are just have stocks?
Yeah, yeah. Yes. The town hall should
Huge
also
difference,
double
huge
up as
difference
like
between the two,
shareholder
by the
meeting.
way. Huge
Pardon?
difference between the two.
Yeah,
Huge
yeah,
difference
yeah.
between the two.
Huge difference between the two. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. And no, and I don't think, personally as an organization we are doing an incredible job at that. Like there are a lot of people with, like most people with ESOPs, and there's like a lot of ownership, and like being treated more than a shareholder as owners on on the top. But like a lot of new people who are joining us, they also have stocks, and I don't think I'm personally doing a great job at treating them as a shareholder, in being transparent about some of these P&L stuff. And that's something, that's immediately what I noted, that town hall should double up as shareholder meetings as well, right? And that's exactly the principle. No, that's truly well said. Thank you, Kunal, for joining us. This was absolutely incredible. We definitely have a bunch of quotable quotes from here, without missing out on the fact that you also learn from memes, right? But on a more serious note, it was really cool to see a free flowing conversation, outside of bound frameworks, and a lot of first principles. And it was very inspiring to genuinely see your attitude towards learning, and how you find both sources and inspiration from everywhere. Thanks, man, for doing this. Like all the Locus team members and everybody else who attended this, I'm sure mirror my feelings and appreciate this.
Thank you so much for having me, dude. And I hope people found value in it. If I can be of any help, please reach out.
Thanks, dude. It was
Bye.
lovely.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, everyone, for joining us.